Shalom, shalom once again, Yisrael. This is your brother Morey Yoshiyahu from the Ark in Fresno, California. This video is going to be sort of different than a lot of other videos that I've put up because some people are going to look at this as a sidebar issue, but it's not really. And that is, I want to talk just a moment to the musicians of Yisrael. Most of us here in the Americas, as a result of the slave trade, came over here and then was given our scriptures. This was later, obviously, and they had been like translated. And of course, by the time we got our scriptures back in our hands, they had the European influence, and therefore we weren't able to recognize that the Bible was actually our book. But now, of course, all that has changed because of computers and everything like that. We're able to do research, and we're like, wait a minute, this is not written in English. This was written in Hebrew. It wasn't written in Greek. It was written in Hebrew, because behind the Greek has to be some language. The Greeks didn't just get it from themselves. They got it from the Hebrew. And so when you read the Bible, you realize that. And most of us, well, if you're a musician and you are a Hebrew Israelite, well, those people they call Negroes or black, one of the things that you probably noticed is your natural ability to do music. That's probably something that you just noticed. That it's something about this nation of people when it comes to music, whether it's singing or playing an instrument. It's one of those things that we can't explain it. We can't explain why we are so damn good at music. And people say it's because of slavery. Slavery don't make you a musician. Slavery don't give you dexterity in music and facility in music. If anything, that hard labor and working in cotton and rolling things all day would make your facility worse. But nevertheless, we find ourselves being the greatest musicians, singers on the planet. And so in church, they did a game on us. What they did was they psychologically divided us between sacred musicians and secular musicians. And then they even went further to divide us once we got into sacred music of people who only played this type of song and somebody who played this. So you had some people who were trying to do like modern music and they got talked about by the traditional people. And then there were some people who could play jazz and they got kicked out the church because they said the music sounded like the devil. Then there's people who could play blues really good and they said, you know what, you can't do blues in church. And then some people like world music and they got kicked out the church, and so they decided to become Muslim. And it just goes on and on and on and on and on. I could do that all day. But what I want you to see is because there's always been this thing of not seeing our people as a nation of people. This whole idea of us being divided is, and everybody's an individual, and y'all not all family, but you are all family. And that's why all of us who are musicians know that there's something on the inside of us that we can't even explain how it got there. And so what I want to do is, in this video, or hopefully I'm just not rambling, but in this video, what I want to do is I want to help the musician understand something. You got whatever you got musically, you have it very honest. When you read the Holy Manuscript, first of all, the Bible itself, the scriptures themselves, is really put to music. And I know that's hard to understand for a lot of people who just read the Bible. But the Hebrew language and the way the scriptures are put together, it is put together musically. And there's a whole study on it. I'm not going to do that right now, but just you're going to have to kind of trust the more on this one just a little bit till you do your research. You're going to say, he was right about that. So it's musical. The vibrations that the Most High put in the planet that gives everything its function and its purpose, that all operates on particular frequencies. And so when it came to him calling out a special people, what he did to those special people is that he gave them he gave some of them the ability to understand and internalize these frequencies that they hear in their mind, their heart, the feelings that they get, and they're like in tune with certain things. So you become musicians. So at a young age, I've been pastoring in a Christian church for 21 years and crisscrossing this country. I can't even tell you how many times. It didn't matter if you went to the smallest church in the woods or if you were in a mega church downtown in a huge city. You always had the same scenario. You're going to have somebody who know how to play the piano. Most of the time never took lessons. They could play anything. They could play anything in any key. They could back up any soloist that came to sing. Even if they didn't know the song, by the first or second time around, they got it. And if it was not just a piano player, if it was an organ player, he could play the organ. And with the organ, he could play the bass line as though there was a bass guitar. He could play the horn lines as though there was an orchestra there. He could play the melody and switch all the instruments. Well, you can tell I must play the organ. He can do all the switching of the Leslie and direct the choir and sing at the same time. It's because it's the gift. It was given to us to do that. Now, that's not to say we didn't have to practice and work and learn. It means that, but the ability to do that was natural. The guitar players could make a guitar and they would go in and play. The tambourine players, the drummers, or whatever. But now that we're coming out of, and oh, by the way, denomination didn't matter. I don't care if it was Church of God in Christ, Apostolic, Baptist, Church of God. It didn't matter. If it was a group of what they call black people, because at the time, not knowing we're Hebrew Israelites, if it's a group of black people, there was going to be some kind of fantastic music going on. And I can't even tell you how many times it's been multiplied, millions of times throughout this country. And a lot of people are gifted, can sing, play, do it all. And then you wonder why. Judah's gift to the world was music. Now I want you to listen real close. All the music that Judah produced as a style or as a genre just proves the variety that YAH put in Judah. But what the Christian church and other people did in tradition, they forced us in that institution to take one genre above the other as far as it being worshipful. Okay, and I'm not even talking about how the devil has come in and perverted it and got our people out here acting a fool. I'm not even dealing with that. I'm just talking about those of us who are coming into the faith of the Hebrew Israelite walk. And the question might be, okay, what do I do? Do I just keep playing hymns now? I mean, do we take the old hymns and turn them Hebrew? Do we try to create music? Do we just rap? Do I get off the organ? I mean, is there any room for the piano? Blah, blah, blah. Musicians, please hear me. All of those genres are your genres. If it was blues, if it was jazz, if it was gospel, if it was rock and roll, if it was smooth jazz, if it was whatever, those are your genres. But they weren't given to you in order to promote the agenda of Hasatan. They were given to you in order to promote the agenda of Yahushua, which was to reach the lost sheep of Israel for Abba YAH. And so whatever your genre is, start using that, or use that. I'm talking to musicians. Use it for his glory. Okay? So if you were really good at gospel music and say that was just your thing, don't let the people that's in the Hebrew Israelite walk tell you that's that music that you played over when you was in the church. No, it's just a genre. If that's your style of music, now what you need to, you can still use the style, but now you need to put with it the truth of who you are as a Hebrew Israelite and what the scriptures are and what they teach. So say for instance you did contemporary Christian music, but that's just you're good at that. Then you need to find a way to now take your skill set and use it for YAH. Somebody, some of you Hebrews are waking up. You were jazz musicians, so you got pushed out to church. And you were like, man, I don't know why I'm good at jazz. Man, I can just hear these chords and these lines, and I can hear abstract stuff, and I can put it together, make it sound good. But whenever I come to church and try to play, somebody gonna say, man, what you doing all that jazz in the church? See that? I know what that's like. So, but my thing to you is that particular genre was created by Hebrews. That's a Hebrew genre, just like blues is a Hebrew genre. So don't think that you can't play that genre in the Hebrew fellowship. See, in church they said you can't play it, but musicians know that old gospel and old blues musically is the same music. See, we know that because we're musicians. So we know that's the same chords if you take it back down to just say that 3 chord. Y'all know what I'm talking about, that little 3 movement circle that blues has. The 1, the 4, the 5, back to the 1. We know there's a billion songs in church that have that 1, 4, 5, 1. And we also know that the turnaround in blues, being a 2, 5, 1 turnaround, is the exact same turnaround in gospel music. We also know that if you go 3, 6, 2, 5, 1 turnaround, it's the same in blues, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1 turnaround that we do in all the songs. So we've always known that, but we've had to like tell the people, okay, we won't play the blues in church. Okay, we won't play jazz in church. But then what we would do is we hit it a little bit, and then people be like, "Ooh, boy, you was playing." We were like, "Okay, yeah, I got that from Muddy Waters, but I ain't gonna tell them." I got that lick from B.B. King at the concert last night, but they think it came as an inspiration from God. You see? Because they don't see us as a nation. All of us are in the same nation. Those varieties of music, of genres of music that were given to us by the Most High, they all need to now come together. I mean, not into one genre. They need to stop the division. And people with those gifts and talents need to bring those gifts and talents to the table. Because what's missing, one of the things that's missing among Hebrew Israelites is music. We have some music, but it's not to the level of where it should be. Just like how the quote-unquote black church was known by its music. Everybody knew the choirs and the musicians and directors and all the great movie stars and actors and all the people who've come out of that situation. Well, now that we come into the truth, we need to see the importance of that, because I think it's being overlooked. And Judah was made for praise. Yehuda means praise. So singing and music and things, whatever the genre that you're good in, go to the Most High and say, use me. This went way longer than I expected, but again, I'm speaking primarily to the musicians. So I want to share this too. Growing up in church and playing church music my whole life, of course I learned how to play church music, but I'm really not that good at gospel music. I was always good at the blues. I was good at 2 things. I could play blues and I could play reggae. Those 2 things I could do. Blues and reggae. So if it was a blues band playing somewhere, I could just grab my instrument, or I could just go on the piano and play. And if it was reggae going, I could kind of feel the music. But in the fellowship, in the church, it wasn't permitted. So I had to force myself to learn another genre. Nothing wrong with it. Now, what do I love the most? I love jazz music, traditional jazz, the really good stuff, what I call it. But I don't play that the best. I love it the most, but I play blues and reggae, but I love it all. So I'm going to use what I know to praise him, because now that I know that it all comes from Yisrael, now that I know that it's all the children of Yisrael, the tribe of Yehuda, then I know that YAH is going to receive it if it's given to him from a pure place. So I hope this helps you, and hey, brush off them instruments and let's get together and let's bring praise to our Abba. Shalom.